Okay, so today we're going to talk about something kind of interesting. We're going to talk about transcoding inside of Avid. And transcoding is this process of converting your files that may be linked to some kind of Avid-based media so that it plays back better and plays back smoother. It can get a little complicated and it can get a little bit overwhelming, so we're going to try and work slowly, but Avid keeps making this better and better each new version of Avid that comes out. And we're going to show you some new features that I'm really excited about with Avid that people I don't think are talking about enough that are really kind of cool. So we're going to go through this process. We're going to go through slowly. We're going to do our best, but we have this linked media here. I have this image here of this guy in this canoe. This is this footage here of this guy in this canoe. This is linked media. And we can look at this here. We can see that this is in a DNX codec. So this is a DNX codec, which is DNX HR, high quality, which means it is Avid-based media. It is already Avid-based media. So why are we transcoding? Well, just because we want to make something for a demo, but also because we want to make this smaller. So we'll talk about this there. Now, this shot is kind of far away. This guy in this canoe, he's really small. And this is footage here. So let's go here to the linked media bin here. And right now we're in statistics view. And here in statistics, it says the statistics information, but we're going to add some columns here. So we're going to go here to the top row here, right click and go choose columns. And I want to add two columns to this. The first being the frames per second. FPS is the frames per second. And the second being the raster dimensions, because I do want to talk about both these things. So we're going to add those in there. Now you can see that the raster dimensions of this is 3840 by 2160, and the frames per second is 23.98 or 24 frames per second drop frame. And so you have these Ultra HD resolutions, and you have this 24 frames per second frame rate. So we can go to this, and we can say, click on this, and we can go to source settings. We right-clicked on the file and went to source settings. And here in source settings, we can go to frame flex. And in frame flex, we can make this a little bit smaller. We can punch into this. So right now it's 3840 by 2160, which is double 1920 by 1080. We are going to say, let's reduce this in size. And we can just choose size matches project raster. We did this in a previous lesson. We're going to go to size matches project raster, and it's going to make this 50% size. And we can actually even move this over a little bit, move this to here. So it's on him right there like so. And so now we have this shot that's punched in. So we're a little bit closer here. We're punched into the shot like there. So we have that. We haven't applied anything else to this. This is going at a standard frame rate, and we're pretty cool. So now let's go and transcode this. We want to keep this and keep this saved as it is, just like so. So we're going to go here and we're going to say right click, and we're going to choose consolidate transcode, and we're going to transcode this file. And we're going to transcode this. Now, a couple things when we transcode this. We have the choice of consolidate or transcode. We'll talk about consolidate a little bit later, but for now, we're going to talk about transcode. And what I really like is that when you hover over these, it'll tell you what all these things are doing. If you want to read all this copy, you can zoom in and read all this, but this is pretty involved, what it tells you what it's doing. Transcoding here, it's going to tell you that when you transcode, it's going to do a whole bunch of things to the media and creates new media at a different resolution. Great. And it tells you some ideas here. So we're going to choose to transcode this. Now, it's going to ask us some questions. Do we want to keep the source's frame rate, or do we want to convert to the project's frame rate? My advice is to always keep the source's frame rate. Now, in this case, the project is 24 frames per second or 23.98. The source footage is 23.98, so it doesn't really matter, but honestly, I just always think it's safer to do so. It asks us the target video resolution. Now, we are already in a DNX resolution, which is an Avid-based resolution. If we wanted to go to an Apple ProRes resolution, something like Apple ProRes Lite or Apple ProRes Proxy or something like there, we could do that there. But I'm going to go to DNX HR LB. We were in DNX HR high quality. We're going to go to low bandwidth DNX HR, which is the Avid's resolution at a low bandwidth. So this is going to be a little bit of a smaller file and probably play a little bit easier in terms of workability inside of Avid. So we're going to make this really easy to work with. Then it asks us two questions. Apply source information or source transformations of color encoding. So do we want to add color encoding? This is if we had a LUT applied, which we don't, so don't worry about it for this. And the other question is, do we want to apply frame flex? Now, in this example, I'm going to choose not to apply frame flex. That means that if I did the punch-in, which I did in this, I can always go out of the punch-in. I can always go back out to some different resolution if I wanted to. So I'm not going to apply the frame flex in this case. I'm not going to kind of bake that in. So we're going to hit there. We're going to choose the drive it's going to go to, and it's going to choose a drive. And we're going to choose frame flex and say transcode. When we transcode, it's going to go through the process of transcoding this file. It takes a couple seconds, depending on the speed of your computer. And now it's converted it to a file that Avid can play better. But here's the truth. Honestly, it played pretty well, but we're just making it a little bit smaller. A little bit smaller, it'll play a little bit quicker, and it will play a little bit smoother probably. And so it made this new file called canoe new. And here you'll see that a couple things. Now this file here is in DNxHR-LB. So this is in the low bandwidth. The other thing you notice is it did convert this project to 1920 by 1080. And that's because the project is set to 1920 by 1080. But the difference here is that it's 1920 by 1080, and it looks like this. It looks punched in. And you can see that, here it looks about the same. We can go back to the source settings, right click and go to source settings, and we could come back out, to full size. We could punch back out to full size. We've set these back to 0 and set this back to 0. We could come out and punch out back to full size. So we do have the flexibility to manipulate our frame flex to whatever we want it to be and have come back out to full size, and then boom, this shot is now back to full size. But we can take this and punch in. And so we could set this down to project raster, which it already is. So we can set it down to 50%. Because it is 1920 by 1080. So we'll convert it to 1920 by 1080. That's a sticking point for me, but that will convert it to 1920 by 1080 and will make it playable in this project. But we do have the ability to frame flex and work with punching in and not. We also have the shot here of this deer. So let's move on. Deep breath. We're going to move on to the shot of this deer. Now this deer I have in the source settings is already punched in. So I already had this punched in. We're going to take this and bring this back to 100. So you can see, we'll move this to 0 by 0. And so this is what the deer looked like. It was in kind of this shot here, basically like this, and it was here. And so here we have this deer. You can barely see him. He's there, or she is there in the leaves there. So we're going to punch it again. We're going to right click and go to source settings, go to size magic project raster, which is going to punch in. This is again a 3840 by 2160 shot. We're going to go into this and we're going to say 50%. We're going to line this up kind of with the deer a little bit better, a little move over. And so now we have this punched in. Now in this case, this is punched in. I'm going to take this deer. I'm going to say, yeah, let's do a consolidate transcode. Again, you can go to the clip menu. If you click on it and go to the clip menu and do consolidate transcode, we're going to choose transcode. We're going to choose the drive we're going to transcode to. Again, I'm going to keep the source's frame rate, but in this case, just for fun, I'm going to apply the frame flex. So I am going to apply the frame flex in here and say there. It's asking me about, do I want to change in the audio? Honestly, I don't really care about the audio here. So we're going to choose transcode and we're going to apply the frame flex. And when we apply the frame flex, boom, it's going to apply the frame flex. We'll wait a couple seconds for this to transcode. And now it's converting this to a new file format. So it's converting this to DNxHR LB, which is the low bandwidth, the smaller file size than it originally was. It's also putting this in the Avid drive. So now it's made this new deer, and this new deer looks like this. It's here. But now, if I go to source settings, inside of source settings, you'll notice that this is punched in, and this is at 100%. I cannot come back out of this. I have applied the frame flex conversion. So now I don't have the ability to come back out. Honestly, for me, I kind of always would prefer the option for punching in or not punching in to not be baked in. I don't want this baked in. So this, I like the canoe version better, because the canoe version, I can always decide, I kind of want to come out again, or I kind of want to do some animation. I want to do some frame flex kind of movement animation there. Yeah, I tend not to, in this option, choose to have this enabled or even this enabled. I'd like to have these both off. That's just me. There's rarely a case, I think, that any of those things would work. But now I've converted these. So let's talk about what I've done. Here, in here, this deer and this canoe, this is actually in a folder somewhere on my hard drive. And I even forget what folder it's in. I grabbed it here. And if we go to reveal file, right click and reveal file, you'll see that here on this file called toponymus, in here, this file called toponymus, I have this deer, and I also have the canoe here. I also have the canoe living there as well. Now, these new files, this deer new and this canoe new, is inside of reveal file. This is inside my Avid media files folder, and it put in this Avid media files folder. Here's this Avid media files folder, and it put in this folder called 1. So inside of here, in my hard drive here, I'll just show this to you. In my Avid media files folder, inside of 1, I have these files here. I have these new video files and new audio files. Again, Avid always breaks this out into 1 track of video and 2 tracks of audio. It breaks the video and audio tracks depending on the number of tracks you have. Obviously, you had more audio tracks, you could break it into more. But these files had 1 track of video, 2 tracks of audio. This has been broken out into separate files in here. But it lives in here. It lives in Avid media files, in MXF, in 1. It lives in that folder with there. So every time you transcode, it's going to put it into that special folder just like so. So, okay, we're going to keep working here. Next, I have this skateboarder footage. And the skateboarder footage looks like this. And if we open this up, you're going to see it's going to play really slow. This footage, okay, so this footage is in Ultra HD. It's in 3840 by 2160. It's 60 frames a second. And it's playing using the H.265, or what's called the HEVC codec. If you're familiar with the H.265 codec, it's kind of crazy. It's well, basically a lot of your iPhones, and in this case, a GoPro shot this footage. So this GoPro shot this footage, and if you play this back, man, this is not playing back well. This is not playing back smoothly. Why? Well, because it's a super huge resolution. It's HD, but we've seen HD resolutions, or not Ultra HD resolutions, play back smoothly. But why is this playing back so choppy? You'll notice even when I forward, it's like a delay before it updates to where it is. And that's problematic. That's really tricky. And so here's why. Because the H.265 codec is really small. If you look at this file, for being Ultra HD and being 60 frames a second, if I go to reveal file, you'll see that this file is 396 megabytes. I mean, this file is 40 seconds long. This should be like multiple gigs in size. Just for comparison, I made a copy of this, and here, this file is 5.6 gigs here. It's the same file, but not in this codec. This codec, this MP4 Ultra HD H.265 codec that iPhones are using and a lot of GoPros are using, they play back really small, and they play back really with really small files, but they have some problems. And the reason they have problems is reason they're difficult for editors to work with here is because, you know, the way I think about it is I think about it like IKEA furniture. If you ever bought furniture from IKEA, usually relatively inexpensive comparatively to something else, and it's really nice furniture, very inexpensive, but the problem is it comes in a really small box. Right? Why does it come in a really small box? Because they expect you to take it home and put it together. And so you have to build it yourself. And that's the challenge of IKEA furniture. This HEVC codec is really like IKEA furniture in that you have to take it home with you and put it back together. So Avid is basically taking this thing, and when you hit play, it's kind of rebuilding this as it goes. And so this is, in terms of editing, really hard to work with. So I probably want to transcode this. Now, in this example, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to say, I don't want all 40 seconds of this. I want from, say, this endpoint here to maybe, and I'm going to go slowly here, just kind of click through till I get what I want, to maybe here, maybe back a little bit, to there. We'll take this 10 seconds here. So now I just have 10 seconds that I've decided that I want. And I'm going to go back here. It's 10 seconds, 9 frames. I'm going to go back a bunch of frames and say, okay, let's go back 2 more. And yeah, this is exactly 10 seconds. I've grabbed basically exactly, let me go back 2 more seconds here and just grab 10 seconds exactly. So now I'm going to grab 10 seconds exactly. And I'm going to make a subclip of this. I'm going to take this and make a subclip. So we're going to just drag. If I had a subclip button here mapped, I could have a subclip button. But I'm just going to drag the picture of this video here and drag this with the in and out points based. And then I'm going to drag it here, and it's going to make a subclip here. And we'll call this the skate highlight part. So skate highlight part sub. And so now we just have this as sub of this is a subclip of the original file. Now the original file is called GX011335. It doesn't matter. We just renamed it as, this is a subclip here. You see a little smaller clip here, the subclip. And this is just the 10-second version of this. So this is a kind of a reference, a 10-second reference to this. This is not actually the media. This is just a reference to the other media that's there. So now we're going to take the 10-second subclip, and we are going to transcode that because we want it to be playable. We didn't need to transcode the whole 40 seconds. This is the only 10-second section I wanted. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to right-click and choose consolidate transcode. Now, a couple things, a couple questions going to ask us. Do we want to keep the source's frame rate? Well, I kind of want to keep the 60 frames a second. Now, when it plays back inside of Avid, it'll play back at 24 frames a second. Even though it's 60 frames a second, it's going to play back at 24 because it's going to apply some speed adjustments to it, some frame speed adjustments to it, which is fine, which is what I wanted to do. But just in case I wanted to play this back slow-mo, I could go back and play this back slow-mo by keeping the source's frame rate. This is why I always choose source's frame rate. We don't have any frame flex, and I'm not doing any color encoding, so I do not want to apply into those transformations, although it don't really matter. I'm not doing anything to the audio, so I don't want to change the audio. Let's choose transcode, my hard drive there, and we're going to say transcode here. It also asks us here that since this was a subclip, it asks us, do we want to include some handles? So instead of giving me a 10-second file, it'll give me a 10 plus 24 plus 24, which is 12 seconds. And then that's on both sides of the thing. So even though I only chose a 10-second subclip here, it's going to include 2 seconds over here and 2 seconds over here. So it will make it 10 plus 2 plus 2, which is 14. Thanks for playing. And so we'll choose transcode. We'll actually make this a little smaller. We'll just make this 24 frames on either side. So now it's only going to be 12 seconds, 10 plus 1 plus 1, which I think you can do. So we're going to choose transcode, and we're going to transcode this to, again, DNxHRLB. Will this be a bigger file? Yes, it will absolutely be a bigger file. Will it be playable easier? Yes, because it doesn't have to unpack it every time it plays it. So we'll transcode, and this will go through the slow process of transcoding this. May take a little bit longer because this is IKEA furniture, right? It's super packaged, and in order to unpack it, we're going to have some challenges. We're going to have some tricky difficulties unpacking this footage. And so there's transcoded this, and now it made 2 new files. So this is a little bit weird. It made 2 new files. It made skate highlight here, which is the subclip. And if you take the subclip now, we'll do the subclip and we'll open up the subclip. This is the skate highlight part there. And it made this. Oh man, this plays back fine. Great, so it played back there and play back fine. Now, if I wanted to, I could go back to the skate highlight part. I could right-click and go to source settings and then change the playback rate to say not the clip's frame rate, but the project's frame rate. And since it goes back to the project's frame rate, now this clip would play back slow-mo. So here, inside of here, and I have that advantage there. So now this, again, is at there. It's at 1920 by 1080. It's coming in at the project's frame rate, and it's coming in at 60 frames a second. And so it's there. We'll go back to source settings and go back to clips frame rate and choose clips frame rate and consolidate it there. I noticed here, and this was a mistake on my part, clearly a mistake on my part. I did my math wrong. I said here that this is playing back. So it made 2 clips here. It made the subclip, and in order for the subclip to exist, it made a new version of the main clip. So before we had a linked clip and a subclip that related to it, and then it made a new subclip. But a new subclip doesn't really exist unless an actual clip exists for it. So it shows us both here. And sometimes in here, I don't really care to see the regular actual clip. I just want to see the subclip. So we could, in fact, click on this clip and right-click and delete it, and just delete the master clip. So we can say, hey, I don't need to see the clip that it came from. I know that's sweet. That's really nice of you. That's considerate, but I don't really need to see the clip that it came from. I just want to see the subclip version of it. So I transcoded the subclip, but it said, nah, subclips aren't real things. They're actually smaller versions of bigger clips. And so I want to show you both. I want to show you that I made the new thing and then made a new subclip of it. I didn't really need to see both, so just delete the master clip. Now, if you delete the media files, well, I delete the media files for the subclip as well. So I don't want to do that. So that's a problem. That's an issue. And here, we'll do this well, we can just delete the master clip there. But before we delete the master clip, I do want to show you that the new duration of the subclip was the 10 seconds. So this is just a 10-second clip. But this actually references a 10-second and 25 frame second clip. Now, why is it 1025? Well, I made a mistake. I did this 24 frames per second, and I added 24 frames on either side of the clip to make it longer. But the clip itself was actually at 60 frames a second. So I don't know, the math is complicated, but clearly I added that, and since it sped it up, instead of it made it this long because it sped up, and the math. I'll write it down for you. It's just what I should have done was when I took this clip here and consolidated it or transcoded it, what I should have done transcoded it is I should have added 60 frames on either side. That's what I should have done. And that would have been 60 frames on either side of a 60-second clip. And so it would have been, yeah, and that's how the math would have worked out a little bit there. So, that's the frame rate issue. Anyway, no big deal. Somebody smarter than me can do the math, but just I should have done this because this was the clip's frame rate, not 24 or not 48. I should have done it 60, and that would have added a second. If I wanted 2 seconds, I should have added 120. That was me being silly. I told you I was going to make mistakes. We're going to go through this. I'm going to make mistakes. But you know what? 25 frames on either side, that's enough for me to do a transition with. And that's enough handle. Just in case I want to make this a little bit longer, I can add an extra 25 frames. That will be fine. Anyway, Cool. So we're going to play a little bit more, and so we have those shots. And now do you notice, just so you notice, that this skate clip is playing back. Look how smoothly that's moving nice and smooth. It plays back regular. I can watch it. I can see it. It looks fine. We're there. All right, so that is the first part of this. That is transcoding media. So you can have a media that you can play back inside of Avid. So we'll get back to relinking a little bit later, but I do want to talk about the idea of transcoding a sequence. So I have this sequence here called Northlands. Now, Northlands has a bunch of footage, and there's a sequence here of a bunch of Northlands footage. This is Northlands American Model Train Museum here. So there's some voiceover here that's stranded audio. There's some interview audio that's sync audio here. And there's some B-roll here. We could bring down some of the audio of the music here. We don't really care about the music, so we'll just mute it for now, but just so you can see it, it's there. So you have this here. And again, all this footage here is all linked-based media. There's all linked media here, except the sequence, there's all linked media. So this is Northlands sequence, and this Northlands sequence right here is right here. I'm going to take the sequence just for fun, and I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to go here, I'm going to hit Command D, and I'm going to duplicate this sequence and make another sequence. So we're going to call this Northlands sequence, and I'm going to call this Northlands transcoded. I'm just going to call this transcoded and transcoded. Okay. And I'm going to make a new bin. Just for fun, I'm going to make a new bin just so we can see how this is there. I'm going to right-click over here, make a new bin, or hit Command N, and call this North transcoded. And so this is all my transcoded footage. So I'm going to take this Northlands transcoded sequence and put it into here. And so I'm going to make this inside of here. Now I want to take this sequence with all of its footage here, all of the stuff here, and all this footage. I want to make this. This is all linked-based media. Now, since this is all linked-based media, I want to transcode this to the new version, to a new version that is transcoded. I've already built this sequence, and this was all just a rough cut. This is just a rough cut of this sequence.
Spend a lifetime working at what he loves.
He bought the land.
And I want to transcode this, and I want to clean this up in a transcoded version. So I'm going to click on the sequence, and then I'm going to choose Consolidate Transcode. Again, you can go to the clip menu, actually, and click on here and go to Clip, Consolidate Transcode. And we're going to transcode this to the SSD drive, and we're going to transcode this to DNxHRLB. And so we're going to convert this to DNxHRLB. We're going to keep the source's frame rate. And honestly, all the footage in here is 23.976 or 23.98. So we don't need to do anything more by there. We haven't done any color encoding or any frame flex on this here. We're not going to do anything whatsoever. And the other question it's going to ask is, do we want to create a new sequence? Honestly, I don't. I've already made a new sequence. I did this myself. I handled this myself. It would make a new sequence for me because it's going to handle this for me and make a new sequence for me like so and have it there. And I'm going to have it into there. And then do I want to transcode only the linked media? Honestly, I think it's all linked media. So yeah, I can transcode only the linked media. This is if you had a mix of linked media and stuff that was already done in Avid or an Avid-based media. You'd say, hey, I don't want to transcode the Avid media. It's already in Avid media. Only do the linked media. But in this case, it's all linked media. So this is kind of irregardless. But irregardless, I said it. I'm going to transcode this to Cliff. Cliff is my other drive here. I have another drive on my desktop. And here, so just to show you, I have another drive on the desktop. Now, this new drive, notice the chat SSD drive has an Avid Media Files folder. So there's an Avid Media Files folder with an MXF file, and then there's a 1 in here, and it has all this stuff here. But I have this drive called Cliff, and Cliff doesn't have an Avid Media Files folder. There's an Adobe Media Files folder that was somebody made, but there's no folder made by Avid, and so there's no Avid-based folder, but there will be. There will be. When I transcode this, I'm going to choose this. I'm going to choose right-click, Consolidate Transcode. Again, transcode. We're going to choose, again, DNxHRLB, unless you want to choose something else. We're not going to create a new sequence, and I'm going to put this in Cliff. And we're going to see if this transcodes to Cliff here, and we're going to transcode this here. And now it's transcoding these clips, and it's making all new clips of all this new stuff. All this new stuff on Cliff in low bandwidth. Now we're waiting, and it's made a bunch of new clips. Now, the nice thing here is that what we've done here is we've gone through, and here on this Cliff now, you'll see there's an Avid Media Files folder. Here it is. Look, showed up Avid Media Folders. There's an MXF. This is the organizational system. So Avid Media Files folder, Avid space Media Files, capital M, capital F. There's a 1 folder, and now there's all these new files, 17 new files here of the audio that we needed and the video that we needed. to make this project work. So this is all the media for this project. And so we have all the media for just this project, or just this sequence, really. This is actually just the media for just this sequence. And so now we have this. And if we look here, you will see we're on Northland sequence still. So we're still looking at Northland sequence, but let's look at Northland transcode. And now these all have the files that say new. These are all new based files. These are all based on some new based media. And so we have this working like there. So now this is a sequence that's been transcoded with the new sequence and transcoded. Now it's up to you. Do you want to put all your sequences in a new bin called sequences and have them separated and renamed so that they're certain ones are linked? So we could go to the Northlands linked and say Northlands and rename this Northlands sequence. Is kind of redundant, but linked, and have a Northlands linked as opposed to Northlands transcoded, and have all your sequences in there. Yeah, that might work. And then have your transcoded version here and have it in a separate bin, or have it in the same bin. So you can see this is the linked version. This is the transcoded version. This is all there like so. Okay, so now we're going to try something crazy. So we're going to get a little crazy. I know, this is where it gets scary. This is where it gets tense. Everybody worry about me here. I'm going to take the linked bin, and I'm going to say the linked. I'm going to go back to the linked, and I'm going to actually change the colors of these. I'm going to take the colors of these, and I'm going to say, grab all these guys, all these clips here, and we're going to right-click on the little color column here, and I'm going to right-click on the color column and choose a color. Let's choose the color yellow. Boom. And so all of these are yellow. And so here, we're going to hit save and save these as yellow. And then if we go to the fast menu in the bottom corner, the little button here in the bottom corner, little hamburger in the bottom corner, we can go to track color. Or sorry, we can go to clip color. Clip color, there we go, clip color. And we're going to choose the source colors there. So these are linked clips as opposed to, we can look for linked clips as well versus that. So we could actually just use linked clips and say linked clips, and then we choose linked clips, but it's going to prioritize, rather than linked clips, going to prioritize showing you the rate. So I guess I think if the rate wasn't enacted, it would show some different, but there's a combination of cues. But in this case, we're going to choose not linked clips, not there. What we're going to choose is use source colors, and we're going to choose source colors and then say there. Oh, we're looking at transcoded here, so we're looking at the wrong sequence. So hold on, let me go back to sequences here. Let me see if this works this way. This is the linked version. So, okay, the linked version is yellow because we made it yellow. If we chose, let's do clip color, and chose not the source colors, but just chose linked clips, it should switch to purple, which gives us purple. So purple is linked clips, but we've already made this like our own color if we wanted to. If we wanted our own color, we can make it our own color based on the original clips, just so we can see this. So this one is based on linked clips, and then transcoded clips, we're going to change to a color like, I don't know, we'll change the transcoded ones to orange or something. Orange, sure, orange. And now if we go to the transcoded sequence, transcoded, and then we go here and go to the fast menu and say clip color, show me the source local colors. This will be orange. These ones will be orange. And I think this one, the linked ones, will be back to be yellow again because, oh no, they're purple. Good, they're purple because it's not there. So this one's based in the orange. This one's based in the yellow. So now we have some color identifiers basically for what's going on here. Okay, so now we're going to go back to transcode here, and we're going to try something crazy. Okay, we're going to try something crazy as an idea. We're going to go back to transcoded clips. Here's the North transcoded clips. We're going to grab all of these, and we're going to say, let's delete them. Let's get rid of them. Let's say goodbye to all of them. We're going to hit this and hit the delete key. This is where it gets scary. I'm going to delete the media. And when I delete the media, I say, hey, goodbye media. Yeah, man. Let's delete the media and the master clips as well. Everything that exists for this, everything we transcoded, goodbye, see you later, deep breath. Are you sure you want to? Oh man, now I don't even know. Terrified. We're going to delete all this media, and then it's all offline. Gives us the big red. Oh, the big red. Everything's offline. All this media that's been transcoded is gone. Well, what the heck do we do now? Just pack it up, go home, quit. We're done? Nope. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to this sequence, and we're going to go back to the transcoded sequence, and we're going to try relinking. Now, in the new version, and this is the thing I was excited to tell you about, in the new version of this, there's an idea here called relink to manage media or relinked to linked media. And there's an option here. There's some options here that we can relink this sequence. We're going to try to relink to manage media, which is the classic way of relinking, and it brings up the relink dialog box. Now, here's the truth. Everyone is kind of scared of the relink tool, because if the relink tool doesn't work, it doesn't work, and then you hate your life. And so it is kind of scary. Here's my advice about the relinking process and some of the things the relinking thing says, and how to work with relinking. I always think of the relinking as sometimes very restrictive. It by default, all these settings, and there's a whole bunch of settings here. These settings are very, very restrictive, and they're a little scary. They're a little terrifying because they don't really give you they give you a lot of options, and the options are kind of overwhelming. So here's my advice. I think of the relink this way. What happened was we lost the files that were transcoded, and we want to find the original files that we're linked back to. Can Avid do that? Yeah, it can do that. But what we're doing is we're looking for missing files, and now you're terrified because you see this big media offline, and you're terrified. You're saying to yourself, oh my God, I lost my files. I'm going to get fired from my job, or I'm never going to have this media again. I need to find this media. I'm desperate. So imagine the relink is like if you have children or if you have a dog, that, something that you love is missing. Something that you love or you care about is missing. And so you call the police and you say, hey, my kids are missing and I can't find my kids. And the police say to you, cool, we're going to find your kids. Don't worry. We're going to take care of it. We're going to find them. We promise you we're going to find them. Here's the thing, though. We're not going to look in the basement, though, because your kids are probably not in the basement. I mean, if they were in the basement, they wouldn't be in the basement. So we're not going to bother looking in the basement. And you're going to be like, no, what are you, crazy? Look everywhere. Look everywhere. Look in the basement. I don't care if you don't think they're in the basement. Yeah, but they're probably not in the woods. I mean, let's not look in the woods. Let's not go through the woods because the woods are cold and it's wet, and I don't want to bother looking through the woods. Let's just, let's look in places. They're probably not there. And you're going to say, no, what are you, crazy? Look everywhere. Look everywhere for my media. Try to find everywhere. So my reason being is, and this weird analogy is if relink seems at all restrictive, like it's going to take away from any place that's looking, or do anything to limit what it's looking for, turn that off. And so here it says, okay, media on drives, all available drives. Let's look. Yes. Let's look all available drives. Not now, dictation. Let's look at all available drives. Cool. Load media databases. I don't know. That sounds good. Yeah, sure. Let's load media databases. Sure. Relink to only media from the current project. No. Let's look everywhere. Let's look in every project. I don't care if that sounds restrictive, right? If it sounds like it's casting too narrow a net, I want something wider. Okay, so let's take a look. Based on start time code, sure. Look for tape name or source file ID. Now, what's the heck is a source file ID? Well, with a lot of media, when a lot of media is brought into Avid, when a lot of media is taken there, Avid or media on your computer, or even just files on your computer, have an ID number. It's kind of like every file on your computer has a social security number. And so it's going to look based on the social security number, which is great. Fantastic. We're going to look for there first. Ask question, match case when comparing source names. You know what? That sounds restrictive. I don't like it. I'm not down. You know what? I don't care if it's capitalized or not capitalized. If you can find it, cool. I'll take it if it's not capitalized, whatever. Relink to video format of current project only. 1080p. No. Nope. Look for everything. I don't care. Any video format. Give me any video format there. Relink method, highest quality. Sure, let's look for highest quality. You can look for most compressed or specific resolution, but we don't want to look specifics. We're going to look for highest quality. Yeah, if we have a choice of, which kid we're looking for, let's look for the best quality kid. Relink to video, audio, and data. Sure. Create a new sequence. You know what? No, I don't need to create a new sequence. And allow relink across rates. I don't. Sure, it sounds like it's giving me more free. It's allowing something. Again, I don't. Anything that sounds restricting, like it's taking away, only do this, or don't do this, or do this to only that. Yeah, that sounds restrictive. Don't do that. Do anything that allows you to do anything. Yeah, that sounds cool. And now we're going to say okay, and we're going to hope and pray. Boom. And all my media just came back. And now my media is linked. I was scared for a second there because it was taking a second. But now my media is not linked to the transcoded media. The transcoded media I deleted. There is no transcoded media. If I look inside a Cliff here, inside a Cliff, I deleted all that media. Remember that media that I made inside a Cliff? A ball here, Cliff, inside a, sorry, not inside a Cliff. Inside a Cliff, inside of a Avid media files here, inside of MXF, inside of one. Nope, there's nothing. It's all gone. It was all deleted. Goodbye. See you later. It's all gone. It relinked back to the Avid Media Composer media. Great. All right, we're going to try something a little more difficult. We're going to try this again. We're going to do this with some other files like so. So now we're going to go to Goat Yoga here. And Goat Yoga is another sequence. We're going to take Goat Yoga sequence. We're going to load that up. That is based on linked media as well. So this is this Goat Yoga sequence. It consists of some video footage and some other stuff here like so. And we're going to take this Goat Yoga footage and we're going to say, yeah, let's work with this. And I'll take this Goat Yoga. We'll do the same thing. We'll say Goat Yoga linked. Again, the word sequence is redundant because it is a sequence. So we'll take the sequence. And again, we'll put this here in the sequences bin. And I'll have Goat Yoga linked, and I'll duplicate Goat Yoga linked, Command D, duplicate. And we're going to call this, instead of Goat Yoga linked, we'll call this Goat Yoga transcoded. Now, this was based on MP4 footage. And so this Goat Yoga linked, again, is MP4 footage. And again, it may play back fine.
And a friend of mine who also
It plays back relatively well.
told me she had heard about
Some good shots of people doing yoga with goats.
with yoga, and they had a 900
And it works. The footage works. It looks fine. But we want to have better quality footage, and we want to have Avid-based footage. So now we go here and we say, okay, let's go here. And let's say, let's consolidate transcode. Actually, we're going to take this sequence. We're going to make a new bin. And we'll call this goats transcoded. And just for now, I'm going to take this sequence and put this Goats Yoga transcoded here inside of here. And we're going to transcode this. We're going to go to clip, consolidate transcode. We're going to transcode this and transcode this into here. And this time we're going to transcode this to Cliff again. Cliff is empty again. Let's be honest. Cliff is empty. We're going to transcode this to Cliff. And we're going to say transcode this to Cliff. And we're going to keep the source's frame rate, 24 frame handle on the sides. Cool. We are going to not create a new sequence because we don't want to. We can transcode only linked media because it's only linked media anyway. So either way, that doesn't matter. We're not going to convert the audio. We're not going to do anything there. And we're going to convert it to Apple ProRes proxy. Just for amusement's sake, we're going to convert this to Apple ProRes proxy. And we're going to say transcode to Cliff. And we're going to transcode this footage. And again, this is MP4 footage, which means it's a little bit more compressed than the DNxHR MXF. And so it's a little bit broken down, but it'll be relatively quickly. And it's now converting these files to a new based format. So you can see when this is done, these are all changed the name new. So these all have the name new here. And again, I'll take this sequence, I'll put this back into sequences. So I'm doing a little bit of organization here. But if I look at Goats transcoded, this is the transcoded footage. You want to change the colors of these? We can change the colors of these to something else. We can say transcoded. Now, since this is proxy, I believe you can go to the menu here and choose clip color and choose proxy-based media. I think mixed race is on, but proxy is on. It should choose and make this orange. It didn't. That's a shame. So let's choose a color. Let's choose, let's turn off source color and then say, cool, proxy. Nope, not giving us anything. Yeah, okay. Let's choose the mix right there. And so we'll choose this there. And we'll choose this and say, let's take this. And then we'll say here, we'll change the color of these to pink or something. That's a heavy duty pink. And there we'll have these in pink. And then these, all these new files here, clip color, we'll choose the source color and use source color. And so these will be pink. Great. Awesome. Now, we're going to go back again to these files here, and we're going to go back to try to get the goats linked. So the linked footage here, we're going to choose the linked footage here, the linked version here. We're going to right click and choose these and make these light blue. So these are going to be light blue. So the goats transcoded sequence is in pink. The goats linked will be in clip color, show source colors. So they're linked clips. So it's showing linked clips. That's perfectly fine. The linked clips will be there. Is in purple. Great. We didn't need to change these because they're linked clips, and so it's defaulting to linked clips as opposed to what it is. We could change something else. Anyway, we have the transcoded version, we have the linked version, we have those, they're like so. Now, if I go to the transcoded again, now in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to delete the transcoded. I'm going to try to go back to the linked without deleting the transcoded files. So we're going to try to go back to the linked versions of this. So I'm going to take Goat Yoga transcoded, and I'm going to try and choose Relink from Manage Media, and I'm going to try and go away from the transcoded footage, which is in proxy version. So that's an Apple ProRes proxy, which is a low quality. I want to go to a slightly better quality. So again, I don't want to choose Relink only media from the current project. I do want to look in the media database. I do want to look at all drives. I do want to look in different things. I want to match case. Nope, I don't want to do that. I do want to create a new sequence. I do want to allow a link allow relink across rates. All this is good there. Relink to, we could choose any HD video format, or we could choose any video format. This is all in HD, so I think we're okay. So any video format is fine. Relink method is going to be the highest quality. And we'll see if this changes. So we'll see if this changes, because I think there might be a limitation in the MP4s. These were originally coming from linked MP4s, and so there will be a problem here. And so when we relink, we'll see if this finds this in the highest quality, and it found it automatically. I have encountered problems, and I won't talk about this here because it didn't work, because it worked. It worked perfectly fine. It found the linked-based clips, and so it went back to the linked-based clips, and it found the linked-based clips. If ever there's a problem, there may be a problem with finding it based on the source file ID. We're going to go back to Managed Media, relink. I'm going to relink on this transcoded sequence and go to relink to the Managed Media. And now in this case, I'm going to choose, instead of highest quality, I'm going to choose most compressed, which should be the Apple ProRes version. And we're going to say relink and try relink there, boom. And now it moved back to there. It moved the video back over to the transcoded video. It didn't move the audio back over. And here's why. Here's the trick of this thing. The video transcoded back over to the transcoded versions, but the audio didn't. And why didn't the audio? Well, the audio is argumentatively working with the link. Why? Because we didn't do anything to the audio. When we transcoded these, we didn't do anything to the audio. So that will be kind of a wrestling match that you'll have to deal with. But this process to go from consolidated transcode and go from not consolidated transcode to go to relink and go to from managed media here and choose highest quality, we can relink back to highest quality, and now we're back to the linked version. So let's go to case in point. Let's say we make a new sequence, Command-Shift-N, make a new sequence. We'll put this in new sequences. And now we're going to go here to sequences. And now inside of sequences, we're going to grab in this skate clip here, this 10-second skate clip. I'll just drag this in here. We have some weird things going on here. So we have this skate clip here. We have this deer new. So we're going to grab a couple seconds of this deer shot here. We'll just grab in point 5 seconds of this deer shot here. Cool. And then we're going to add this deer shot on the end here. And then we're going to go here to this canoe shot here and this canoe shot here. We'll go here and we'll bring in this canoe shot here like so, and I'll bring in 5 seconds or so of canoe shot. And so we have the deer shot, the canoe shot, etc. I can take this and have this all be some resolution or some kind of quality, but we can see that this is here. This is all the deer. These are the new files. So the new files are here. We could trim this back a little bit, maybe have it just till he lands, and have this footage like there. And so now we're working inside of here, inside of Avid-based footage. And so we have this here, this new sequence that we've made. So this is in sequences, untitled sequence. We'll call this the linked high-res footage, because this is all the we'll call this the linked UHD project. And so, or this is the linked UHD sequence, or this is linked UHD, we're going to say transcoded. So this is the linked UHD, that's redundant, that's backwards. This is from linked footage. We'll call this UHD transcoded. We'll just call this UHD transcoded, because this has been transcoded, which means it's not back to its UHD format. It's been put into the product resolution, which is a trick. And so here, inside of here, we do have here, we're going to try to relink, and this will be a real test. We haven't tried this yet. Relink back to the highest quality video format. Again, don't create a new sequence. Don't work with there. Don't work in that thing. And we'll just, for amusement's sake, we'll go back to this linked media and we'll grab this canoe, this deer, and we'll grab this file here and we'll say right click. We'll change this to a color, maybe gray. Gray would be a color. Yeah, gray is a color. Again, we'll make sure we clip color, show source color. Great, cool. And now we're going to take this sequence and we're going to say sequence. We're going to try to relink back to the highest quality. And the highest quality will obviously be the higher quality media that we have there. And so we can say relink back to there and then boom. relinking, it's thinking, boom. And it went back to the linked media, which is purple. I know I made it gray, but it shows the purple because it's now back to the linked media there. And so it went back to the linked-based media because we had this at a different rate. It didn't do the audio on this clip, but that's fine. But this clip's there. And again, this clip will play back like garbage now. Why is this playing back like garbage? Because it's in that HEVC codec. And now it's playing back like garbage. So workability, I don't want to edit this way. I don't want to edit this way, but I do want to export this way, right? So when I'm done, I want to export. I do want to export out this way. So I can go back to here and say relink back to manage media and say, I don't know, most compressed or something, or even a specific resolution. Specific resolution, if I made these all at DNX HD, what is it? DNX, well, I forget what I chose. Yeah, I could choose DNX HR. And have different resolution, DNX HR LB, HDB, or I could choose, let's see, try most compressed, which is most compressed, allow relink across rates and say, okay, and then relink, and it found the other footage back to the original footage there. Audio is gonna be a little tricky. And sometimes if you want to, you might as well, you could even try to change the sample rate just so you're relinking back to the original, or not the sample rate, but even the bit depth, just so you make sure that you're always relinking back to the linked files as opposed to the compressed files. There's some things you could do to play and fix and make that a little bit cleaner. But that is the proxy workflow of going from proxy footage to Avid-based media. Is it always the most fluid and the most comfortable? No, not necessarily. But this would be the way of going back to linked media there. Now, that said, we could go and we could bring something in here. So let's go here and let's input source browser. And let's say, for example, we want to bring in an image. And I'm going to bring in an image. I have this new stuff here just to show you. I have this new stuff here that I just got from my buddy Rick. And this is some red footage here. Now, this red footage, red from Rick, has these files here. You will notice here that it says the plugin right here, the plugin to bring these files in, the plugin of these files right here is coming in using the Red R3D plugin. This is the Red R3D plugin SDK B8111. I had to go online and get this plugin. Avid doesn't have this plugin by default, so it's not going to just bring in red footage. It's not going to link in red footage. You can go online and you can look up Avid Red AMA footage, and here I went to this Avid here, and I got this from Media Composer, the newest version here, and went to Mac and grabbed this footage in here and grabbed this plugin. Took a second to install. It was relatively easy. Close Avid, open it back up again, and it brought in that footage perfectly fine. Great. Okay, so now we're here. So I'm going to bring this red footage here like so. Now, I want to show you a couple things. I'm going to bring this red clip here. This is 16 seconds long. So this is 16 seconds long. It's at 24 frames per second. And it is 6144 by 2592. That's a 6K file. Ooh, that's a 6K file. And we're going to say link this in. And we're going to link this in and link this file in. It comes in automatically. Man, it comes in automatically there. And that's in that folder like there. That's this foot. Oh, look at this. This is Iceland. It's beautiful footage. Plays back. It's kind of boring. Just kind of a scenic establishing shot here of some great huge mountain in Iceland. But cool. I have this footage. And again, this is 6K footage, and it's playing back through the red plugin at 16K, and my computer's pretty strong, so it can play back this pretty well. But I want to play back this easier. I can relink this. Now, I can go here, or I can transcode this. I can transcode this into here. No, we'll say we'll bring this to Apple ProRes, or we'll bring this to DNX HRLB. We'll say we'll put this on the chat SSD drive, and we'll transcode this inside of here. And we'll choose transcode, and we'll transcode this footage onto my drive, and we'll see how this works. Boom, and it'll transcode. This might take a while. About a minute. So now it's converting this to, again, going from 6K to 1920 by 1080. Why would you do this to yourself? Well, because you're trying to save file size. You're trying to make things a little bit smaller, and you want to make sure it plays back smoothly. If you start putting effects on here, and you start putting color correction on here, and you start putting LUTs on here, yeah, you want to make sure it plays back beautifully inside of Avid. And then when you're done, you can go back and relink to the original 6K stuff, and you can punch in if you want to there. So now, again, I have this footage here. I have this footage here that is in the red code raw, huge, at a huge resolution. And this is in DNX HRLB, which is a kind of garbage resolution, especially for this quality of stuff. And again, different frame rate, different kind of things. We have this smaller, we have this like there. I could right click again, choose columns to make sure I have my frames per second and my raster dimensions. Open those columns in so I can see them. Again, this is huge, but they're both playing at 24 frames a second, so this is there. And I have this here. So we can make a new sequence. Just make a new sequence really quick. Command-Shift-N. We'll make a new sequence. We'll call this new sequence red stuff. Cool. And we'll go back to here into this linked media here, and I have this. Where did I put this? Where did I bring this media in here? Did I put in goats? Did I accidentally put in goats? That would be silly. Can't find out where this put is. If only there were a bin that would help me find the bin where I put this file. Oh, of course there is. Yeah, there's a little trick there. A little find bin button. Boom, find bin. Oh, I put in sequences. That doesn't make sense. That's silly. Let's make its own bin here. We should have made a new bin for this. Red from Rick. Yeah, let's have this in their own sequences here. We have a lot of sequences opened here, so we're going to close some of these sequences here. We don't need all these sequences open here. We're going to go to sequences here, take this and say, cool, red from Rick here. Put this back over to here. That feels better. Cool. So now this red stuff sequence. So I'm going to take this red from Rick here. I'm going to take this, let's take this transcoded footage. Let's take this transcoded footage. We'll take a couple seconds. I don't know how long this is. We'll take maybe handful of seconds here, 5 seconds. We'll add this in here to the timeline. Cool. And so this is this in here, like so. Awesome. Looks good. Fantastic. Cool deal. We can change the color of this. So we can take this clip here. Oh, sorry. I took the linked footage in. So that's fine. Let's undo what I did here. I didn't double click. Let's take this, which is the new version. Let's take this and bring this in here. I was wondering why that was purple. We'll bring this in here, and we'll say this footage here is here, like there. Okay, cool. And now we're going to say, cool, I have this footage here. And again, I can take this clip, or I can take this clip here, and I can relink back to the original media here. But let's take this sequence. We'll go back to the sequences here and go to red from Rick, and we're going to say in here. Now, we're going to choose relink, manage media. This is the traditional way of doing this. So we're going to not match case. We're going to choose highest quality, and we're going to relink, and then boom, and then it's purple. Cool. Or we can choose in here. We can choose input, relink, manage media, and we can choose most compressed, and it would relink back to there. And so that's that relink process of going from one to the other, one to the other, one to the other, to go back and forth between the really good quality stuff that probably won't play back as well in Avid, or the stuff that's really compressed that will play back better in Avid. Okay. The other one, and this is the one we haven't tried yet, is if I brought in a file like this, and I brought this file in here, and I wanted to say, here, relink this file based on linked media. So say, for example, I took this file. Let's try this. We're going to try this here. And I said, let's delete the media file here that refers to this. So we're going to say, delete the media file that refers to this and say goodbye. This is now gone. And this file, this new file is going to have no media, and it's going to be offline. Everything's offline, and I want to find this file. Now, theoretically, I can go here and I go to relink and go to manage media and try to relink this back to the linked version of this cell. We're going to try this, see if this works. We're going to choose highest quality. We're going to make sure we're relinking to there. All this is fine. We're going to say okay, boom, and it relinked this automatically. So now this is back to being a linked clip. That's cool. I'm going to take this, and this is the new feature. And a lot of people, I have a lot of friends who are like, oh, I'm not upgrading to the new version of Avid because I'm sticking on 2018 because I don't trust new stuff. People don't trust new software. People don't trust new upgrades, new software, because they're afraid of getting burned. But man, if I was going to upgrade to software, the latest version of Avid has this relink back to linked media. And this is crazy. This used to not exist. This used to not be a thing that you could do inside of Avid, which is, I don't know why they didn't add this, but God bless it, they finally did. This thing, relinked to linked media, you can bring a dialog box, and then you can search for where the linked file is. So it offers an option for locating the media for where the linked media is. So if you are missing a file, you can bring this dialog box up, and you can link back to anything that's missing. So you can click on this and say, It says offline media, so if there's anything missing. So say, for example, here, a case in point here, we're going to try something crazy. We're going to quit out of Avid, so I'm going to hit Command Q. We'll hit Command Save to save this. We'll actually Command to save these, and we're going to quit. And we're going to quit out of Avid here, and I'm going to take this file here. This is 11612. And we're going to leave here at a 11612. And we're going to quit out of here. And I'm going to go back to my drive here. And we're going to go here to chat SD. We're going to look for Red from Rick. And I have this file here called 11612. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag this off of here. And we're going to take this and put this in the desktop. And so we're going to put this here in the desktop. Just for now, we're going to put this in the desktop and we're going to put it in the desktop there. And we're going to copy this over the desktop. It's a big file, 1.4 gigs. And I'm going to take this 11612 and I'm going to hit delete. Command delete, boom, and it's gone. So it's in my trash right now. Oh man, I just got rid of it. So now I've moved this file to someplace else. I'm going to open up Avid again. When I open up Avid, we're going to open up Avid, take a deep breath, wait for Avid to open. And I'm going to try to reference this file as opposed to this file. This is to reference the linked clip from one place to the other. And again, I think this is crazy, but Avid used to not be able to do this. Used to have it in the same place. For linked footage, it didn't have this option. It would look for it, but it wasn't as kind of useful in letting you help it look for the file. And this option here to link to the other file would be great for stuff like you change the file type. You have a low res version of something that, somebody in Photoshop gives you, or somebody in After Effects gives you an animation. They're like, yeah, this animation is kind of good, but it's kind of weak. Oh, let me redo it. And then you work with this for now, and then I'll give you the new one. Okay, so when we go here, we're going to go into this project called Transcode. And inside this project, we're going to open this project up. And this linked media is probably missing because it can't find where it's supposed to be. And if we reveal file, it doesn't have a place where the file is because the file isn't on the hard drive anymore. We have the hard drive here. You're going to see in here in Red from Rick here, we won't have the file there. That file is, in fact, missing. And so here, Red from Rick, 111.612 is not there and it does not exist. So we don't have this file. We have the new version, but we don't have the file here. So we're going to right click and choose to relink based on linked media here. And so we're going to look for all files and we're going to say, hey, let's find this linked clip and let's locate where this linked clip is, which is going to locate the media. Now the linked clip is on the desktop, which is a bad place for it, but we're going to go here and choose desktop. And now we're here on the desktop. So we went to computer, here in the drive, and then here inside the drive, we're going to go to users. Yeah, this is the navigation problem, and go to desktop. Now, the thinking is what you probably want to do is you want to choose desktop and then go to this file and try to grab this file, but it won't let you do that. And that's because it's asking to choose a folder. What folder is it in? Well, we want to be in the desktop folder. So we're going to click on desktop and choose that folder. This is the way it worked. It's a little different. I don't know if I really like it, but it is what it is. And so we're going to choose the desktop folder and say, yes, grab the desktop folder. And it says, hey, it found the clip again. So now it's relinked not to the footage on my drive. So if I do reveal file, it's not related to the footage on my drive. It's now related to the footage on the desktop, which is there. Now, if I didn't want that, what I could do is I could say, let's go back. Now this one's linked to the one on the desktop here. So I want to go back to the linked one on the hard drive here. So I'm going to right click and choose relink back to linked media. And I'm going to look for not the offline media because it's online already. So I'm going to look for all media and look for this file here, 111.612. And I'm going to say locate media. Now, when I go to locate 612 media, the thing that I find annoying is that my hard drive isn't listed here. And I want my hard drive listed as directory. And that's a Mac thing. So if I go back to my computer, I have this space right here. And if I go to the space here, I still can't see my hard drive. And where the heck is my hard drive? And that is because my hard drive, for whatever reason, because it's a Mac, is hidden. I know it's silly, but I had to take a while to figure this out. And so here, if I right click and go show hidden files, right click and show hidden files. Oh, look, there's my files. And then I go into volumes because it's considered a volume. And now I have chat SSD. And now instead of chat SSD, I can go to Red from Rick and choose that one, and it will update, boom. And then it will link back to Chad's SSD linked file. So that's a little bit of a tricky thing. Again, this is brand new. So this is a new thing that didn't exist in earlier versions of Avid. And finding that file was a little bit tricky. So I can link out. It's easy enough to link to relink based on linked media and go to link based on, again, all media. We'll relink again from Chad SSD. We will locate the media and say relink back to computer or back to desktop, and relink to the desktop file and say choose, and we'll relink back to that one. And now it's on the Macintosh hard drive on the desktop. Or we could say, hey, let's relink again, locate media again, relink. But then in this case, we got to go into here, go into show hidden files, show volumes, go to SSD and go to Rick Media, read from Rick, and then say choose, and then we'll relink based on there. And so now it's back on that, and it's looking for that file. That's a new feature. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of wacky. It's kind of wild, but this is how this works, and we can relink back to those files as they were. So some ideas, some things we can do in terms of that. Anyway, that is some things. We'll explore some new things about Avid as we go. I still want to talk about consolidating and moving files around, so that'll be a future lesson, but I think it's a lot of stuff. And like I said, it took me a while to learn, and I'm still learning it. And so I hope this helped make it easier. If not, watch this video 100 times. And, I'm trying my best to make this easy for you. Anyway, that's all we're going to do for today. Thank you very much. And keep playing, everybody.